My heart, I couldn't breathe, to be honest.
A community in mourning over the deaths of 5 members of one family, killed, police say, by their own flesh and blood.
They were great kids, and they were smart, and they loved everyone. They were the greatest kids.
Just spoke with the family of all 5 of the deceased, and we were all heartbroken.
Held without bail, the mother and her 19-year-old daughter, accused of murdering their family members, are staying behind bars today. They've allegedly confessed to their crime, saying everyone, even the 3 children, wanted to die.
Now, I have been sitting inside this story for a while now, and I still do not have a clean explanation for what happened inside apartment 5S at 200 West Bridge Street in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. But what I do have is every single detail. And baby, every layer of this thing is worse than the one that came before it. February 25th, 2019, a child welfare caseworker drives out to a routine wellness check. She knocks. Nobody answers. So she calls the building maintenance man to let her in. He opens the door and inside one bedroom of that apartment, investigators found 5 people who should not have been anywhere near a crime scene. They should have been at school, at work, planning a wedding, turning another year older, living their lives. And the 2 women found alive in a separate bedroom, lying in bed like they had just woken up from a nap, looked investigators in the face and said everybody in that apartment wanted to leave this world, including the children, baby. The district attorney of Bucks County, a man who has spent his entire career staring at the worst of what human beings can do to each other, stood at a podium the night those bodies were found and could barely hold himself together. He said he had just spoken to the family of all 5 of the deceased. They were all heartbroken. Honey, when the prosecutor is heartbroken, you know exactly what kind of story you are in. So let me tell y'all who was in that apartment, because these 5 people were here long before. February 25th became the only thing anybody remembers about them, and I am not letting this case swallow them whole.
It's a sad day for us. As much as I've seen over my career, this is the saddest case I've ever had.
Let us start with Naa'Irah Smith, because this woman deserves to be introduced properly and not just as a name in a list. Naa'Irah was 25 years old. She was engaged to be married. Her daddy, Ronald, had been looking forward to that day for years. She had already built herself a whole life outside of that apartment. Her own home, her own relationship, her own future. And she was living it fully, the way you do when things are finally going right. And this is important, y'all. Naa'Irah had moved out. She was not a permanent resident of 200 West Bridge Street. She had her own place. And according to her father, she had only been back inside that apartment for 1 month when they found her. 1 month. Her daddy drove out there in early February just to see her. A regular visit. Nothing dramatic. Just a father wanting to lay eyes on his daughter because something felt off and he could not name what it was, and she would not open the door. She spoke to him through a closed door like he was a stranger, and then the text messages started coming. Naa'Irah told her father she was about to pass through the pearly gates. Not a metaphor, not a figure of speech. She meant it. And that man still did not know what was waiting on the other side of that door. He just knew his daughter was somewhere inside that apartment, and the door would not open. Her father said, and I am quoting him directly, "My daughter was a very good person. I don't know how she fell into this. I still want answers too." And God, she was supposed to be picking out wedding invitations, not sending goodbye texts through a door she would not open. Then there is Jamilla Campbell, Shauna's sister, a mother who came from Trenton, New Jersey with her children because her sister was here, and that is what family does. You do not question it. You just show up. And Jamilla showed up. She brought her twins with her, Imani and Erika Allen, Jamilla's girls, two little girls that their half-sister, Stephanie Harris, described as great kids, smart kids, kids who loved everyone. They had been registered at school in Trenton, and in the weeks before February 25th, they stopped going. And then there was Damon Jr., Shauna's son, a boy who the school superintendent of Morrisville personally said made him smile every single time he walked through the door. A boy whose friends were, in the superintendent's own words, really hurt. And after they lost him, his classmate Chandler stood outside that apartment building at the memorial and said, "Damon has been my best friend for as long as you can remember."
Damon has been my best friend for as long as I can remember.
Taylor Walmsley was one of several of Damon's Morrisville middle school classmates who stopped by a memorial set up outside the apartment where he was killed.
I knew that maybe if he's looking up at me from there, then he knows that I'm here for him.
Lord have mercy. Now, I need y'all to understand how 8 people ended up inside one apartment, because that detail is going to matter more than it looks like it should right now. Shauna Decree had been living at the Robert Morris Apartments on West Bridge Street for some time with her children. At some point, Jamilla came to stay with her twins and her teenage son, Joshua. And suddenly, you have got 8 people sharing a space that was not designed for 8 people. Now people share space out of necessity all the time. And that is not remarkable. What is remarkable is the kind of pressure that builds inside 4 walls when there are too many bodies and not enough room, and something is starting to go very wrong in the mind of the woman at the center of it all. Because Shauna was the center of this household. There is no other way to read it. What Shauna believed, her daughter, Dominique, believed. Where Shauna went emotionally, Dominique followed. The two of them were so tightly aligned that it was less like a mother and daughter and more like one person operating in 2 bodies. And here's something I need y'all to sit with for a second. Dominique had been in mental health treatment since she was 5 years old. 5. So this was not a household that was starting from a stable place. This was a household that had been one strong win away from something for a very long time. Now, I want y'all to notice something. Naa'Irah had her own place and came back. Jamilla had her own home in Trenton and chose to be here. Both of them walked into that apartment voluntarily because Shauna was family, and that loyalty, that specific, unconditional, no questions asked loyalty, is what put them both inside those walls. Okay, so this is the part of the story where I need y'all to really stay with me, because what happened in the weeks before February 25th is one of the most frustrating sequences of events I have ever had to sit with in my life. And I have sat with a few. In the month leading up to everything, Shauna Decree started pulling that household out of the world quietly, methodically, the way you do when you do not want anyone to notice until it is already too late. Damon Jr. stopped going to school. His principal personally called the house. Nobody picked up. And when the school district finally got through to Shauna, she told them she was going to homeschool him, baby. The district actually started making those arrangements. Now, I just need to pause here for 1 second because I need y'all to picture this. 8 people inside a basement apartment. The world is apparently ending. Demons are allegedly everywhere. And Shauna's solution is homeschooling. Right here in this apartment, in this energy, with these vibes. Very normal, totally fine. Outstanding academic environment. The twins stopped attending their school in Trenton too, so now all the children are at home. No outside contact, no school, no teachers to notice anything. And the conversations that family could still occasionally squeeze through on the phone were getting strange real fast. Demons surrounding them, pearly gates. The world was ending specifically in February of 2019. Mark your calendars. Now, a relative named Tyquilla Campbell. God bless her. She was so worried about those children that she physically drove to that apartment herself, knocked on that door with her own hand. And you want to know what they told her? Get out of here. You're a demon. You're not wanted here. You're going to die. Okay. So they were diagnosing demons at the door now. Full spiritual assessment on arrival, free of charge. Very efficient system, sir. And here is what I cannot move past, y'all. And I need y'all to talk to me about this in the comments, because multiple people were raising alarms for weeks. The school flagged Damon Jr.'s absences on February 1st, and they did not find those bodies until February 25th. That is 24 days of every alarm ringing. Bucks County Children and Youth already had an active, open case on this household before any of this started. The grandfather, James Campbell, physically drove to that apartment, got no answer. Tyquilla drove there and got called a demon. Naa'Irah's own fiance was worried the children's fathers were calling anybody who would listen. Every single alarm that could ring was already ringing. And on Saturday, 2 days before they found those bodies, a caseworker came to that door, knocked, got no answer, and left a card, like when FedEx cannot deliver your package, and just tucks a little slip on the door saying, "Sorry, we missed you." She left a card and went home. Now, I genuinely need y'all in the comments on this one, because I have been sitting with one specific question since I started digging into this case. At what point does an active open case on a household mean somebody physically stays at that door until it opens? At what point does a card not cut it? Because that caseworker visited on February 5th and everything was fine. She came back on Saturday and left a card. And by Monday, 5 people were gone. What would it have taken? Tell me in the comments, because I do not have a clean answer. And I do not think any of us should be sitting with that question alone.
I wish I had better news to report, but this is important. So we wanted to come out here at this point and make sure that everybody knew that the people that committed these atrocious acts are now in custody and will be made to pay for their crimes.
Now I need y'all to stay with me, because this next part, we lets the facts do their job. February 23rd, 2019, that is when it started, not Monday the 25th, when the caseworker knocked, not that afternoon. When the maintenance man opened the door, it started on Saturday the 23rd. And what happened inside that basement apartment over the course of those 3 days has not left a single person who touched this case. When investigators got inside, they found all 5 victims together in one bedroom. The apartment around them told the story of what 3 days had looked like inside those walls. Furniture overturned, broken glass across the floor, drywall cracked. 4 of the 5 victims were found to have died by homicidal asphyxia. They were suffocated. Jamilla died differently. She died by homicidal ligature strangulation. Something was used around her neck until she was gone. Shauna and Dominique were found alive in a separate bedroom. 1 unconscious, 1 season, 5 people, 3 days, 1 apartment. Here's where this story turns. In a way, I was not ready for the first time I read it. When police questioned Shauna and Dominique at the hospital, separately, 2 different rooms, 2 different officers, both of them told the exact same first lie. Shauna said Jamila's boyfriend and 2 unknown men broke in and killed everyone. Dominique, in her separate room, without knowing what her mother had said, told investigators an unknown man had hurt her neck. The same story, 2 rooms at the same time. Honey, that is not a coincidence. That is a rehearsal. Chilly. That story collapsed fast, and when it did, Shauna told police that everyone in that apartment had wanted to die, that they had all been talking about it, that even the children were part of those conversations. Dominique said her mother and Jamilla killed the others, and that she strangled Jamilla herself. Shauna's version shifted slightly. She said Dominique helped with one of the killings, and that Jamilla had taken Naa'Irah. Both versions agreed on one devastating thing. Jamilla Campbell helped end her own children's lives before Dominique ended hers. I am giving you what is in the public record. Both women's own accounts are under questioning, and I will leave y'all to sit with what that means.
We are no closer to understanding that in the harsh light of day. We will continue to pursue every lead and to work this case to its just conclusion.
Shauna was arraigned at 3:30 in the morning, held without bail. Dominique followed shortly after, still receiving medical attention, also held without bail. 5 counts of criminal homicide each, 1 count of conspiracy each. The DA, Matthew Weintraub, stood at that podium on Tuesday afternoon and said, I just wish we didn't have to report it. I wish we didn't have to deal with it. A prosecutor, y'all, whose entire career is built around dealing with exactly this. That sentence has not left me. Court-appointed psychologists found both women suffered from schizoid personality disorder, major depressive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Shauna's attorney said her client had grown so deep into her delusions that she believed the world was ending and that there were demons in her house. She had to obey. Her family tried to help her, but the delusions were too strong. Okay. September 28th, 2020, 18 months after those bodies were found, Shauna Decree and Dominique Decree walked into that Doylestown courtroom and entered their pleas. Guilty, but mentally ill. 5 counts of first-degree murder each. 5 consecutive life sentences each. No parole, ever. Both women apologized in court, and I want y'all to hear these words directly, Shauna said. The hardest thing for me to do is decide who to say I'm sorry to first, to my family. I am sorry for taking away these beautiful souls in such a horrible manner. Dominique sobbed and said, I'm so sorry for everything that happened, and I truly don't understand why it happened. She truly does not understand. Judge Bateman told them both. Unfortunately, that doesn't bring them back. You can't say sorry and expect people to move on with their lives, Cynthia Weintraub said. By murdering Erika, Imani, Damon, Naa'Irah, and Jamilla, they've decimated entire generations of their own family. It tests my faith in humanity and in God. But I have to believe in both. The alternative is so much worse.
New here at 4 o'clock today, a Bucks County mother and daughter will now spend life in prison for murdering 5 of their own family members. The sentencing for 47-year-old Shayna Decree and 21-year-old Dominique Decree came this afternoon. Both entered pleas saying they are guilty but mentally ill. They were charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder for the crimes that happened inside a Morrisville apartment last year. Both women offered tearful apologies in the courtroom, but the judge said remorse will not bring their victims back.
Now, I need y'all to hear about Damon Decree Sr. for a second. He is the estranged husband of Shauna and the father of both Dominique and Damon Jr., which means on February 25th, 2019, this man lost his son to those 4 walls and his daughter to a prison cell in the same afternoon. He said, I may not have been the best dad, but no one deserves this. The bottom line is I didn't do the number 1 job a parent has. I didn't keep him safe. Lord, the pain of losing both his children the same day drove this man to attempt to take his own life. That is what this case left outside those walls. And Naa'Irah's father, Ronald, could not bring himself to attend the sentencing, but had his statement read in court. He wrote about his daughter's plans to marry and how much he had been looking forward to that day. And he said, as you can see, she didn't get to do this because her mother and sister had other plans. They treacherously took 5 beautiful lives off the face of the earth. As you can see, she didn't get to do this. That line right there. And Joshua Campbell, Jamilla's son, the one family member who was not in that apartment, not because he knew, not because he was warned, but because he had gotten fed up and moved out to stay with friends a few days before, he told officers he never thought they would hurt the children or he would never have left. That boy has been carrying that sentence ever since. And he was a teenager when they put it on him. Shauna Decree and Dominique Decree will die in prison. The legal chapter of this story is closed. But Naa'Irah Smith was engaged to be married. She had a home, a fiance, a future already taking shape, and she walked back into that apartment because her mother was in it. And that is what love looks like. Sometimes Jamilla Campbell drove from Trenton with her children because her sister needed her. Damon Jr. made his school superintendent smile every single time he came through the door. And Imani and Erika Allen were great kids, smart kids, kids who loved everyone. And that is a direct quote from someone who loved them with her whole heart. These 5 people deserve the weddings and the birthdays and the ordinary Tuesday mornings that nobody thinks to be grateful for until they are gone. Say their names: Naa'Irah, Damon, Jamilla, Imani, Erika. God bless every single one of them.
Well, a prayer service will be held in Bucks County tonight for the family of 5 family members who were found murdered in their apartment.
Unanswered reporter Trang Dell is live outside the apartment complex in Morrisville, where there is a growing memorial for the victims. Trang, good morning.
Well, good morning, Rahel and Jim. This community is just heartbroken and stunned over this tragedy. Throughout the day yesterday, family, friends, and even strangers have come by here to offer condolences and add to this growing memorial. The loss of the youngest victims hitting everyone hardest of all. A community in mourning over the deaths of 5 members of one family, killed, police say, by their own flesh and blood. The loss of the youngest victims, the most difficult to grasp.
My heart, I couldn't breathe, to be honest.
Destiny Harris is still reeling over the fact that she will never see her twin 9-year-old half-sisters, Imani and Erika, again.
They were great kids, and they were smart, and they loved everyone. They were the greatest kids.
Now, y'all know I need you in those comments. And today I have got one specific thing I want to talk about. We said it in bad and I am bringing it back because I genuinely cannot put it down. The open active case, the card on the door, the 24 days between the first alarm being raised and those bodies being found, multiple family members calling, multiple people physically showing up at that apartment. And still, at what point does the system say a card is not enough? I want to know what y'all think, because this community always brings the most thoughtful conversations, and this story deserves one. If this case hit you the way it hit me, share this video, because Naa'Irah and Damon and Jamilla and those twins deserve for their story to travel further than this channel can carry it alone. And I will see y'all in the next one.